There we go. Hello, hello. What is up, my fellow American members of the American Legion? Today we got another short stream. Turning safe heart, and I had watched Balto actually last night, getting ready for the stream, and he's not going to be uploading it tomorrow because Universal is kind of being a bit. So let's see this. So Universal making me and my team hustle to unblock our Balto documentary, but hoping to upload tomorrow, but we're going to take the time to iron out these issues. Hope to upload on the 29th instead. Thanks for being patient on this one, folks. Because I was excited. That really stinks. I was hoping. But we don't. As much as I would like to talk about that, and maybe someday I will. And actually, let us get this stream. I forgot to put it out, so we're gonna have a shorter stream. We're gonna talk some news. Let me get this. Let me share this stream. I'm just gonna. So, should I? Do I cover this clip? This is out of the Canadian part, the woke country known as Canada. All right, I'm gonna share this. All right. Doesn't have audio. Or does this thing not have audio? Yeah, I don't think that video had audio. But Culture Casino, right? Laughing at Canada has always been fun. It's now, it's the woke state of Canada. There's some being. So and also, so Anthony Sabatini is apparently on his page has been called a fascist. Yeah. Let me bring this up. Yeah. So Anthony, and you see here, he's praised Franco, but I have. Does that make me a fascist? No. I think a lot of what Franco did was good, but doesn't mean that I'm fascist. Oh yeah. This really sucks. I just like this image. Yeah, but Universal's I bet they all are these. All these companies can be a bitch at time due to copyright. I'm just. Hey, at least good thing is Universal have not forgotten about Balto. At least they've not forgotten. Never know. But we had stuff to talk about on. Let me bring the tweet up from last night. On a certain guy we named. Well, I'm not sure if you're allowed to say his name, but I'm gonna. Hey, Jeffrey. I think we know who this. And I'm now monetized the. I'm trying to find the video. I'm trying to find the tweet. Yeah, but also I see Turkey Tom been dealing with stuff with the Ezra Miller. His video on that weirdo Ezra Miller. Probably should be careful about. Where is it? Something on. Maybe I need to scroll down further. Okay, maybe it was a bit further down. I think it was. Oh, here. It's a. So this is from the couple days ago, Tucker Carlson.
Approaching 4 years since Jeffrey Epstein died in detention in New York City. It's very obvious he was killed. The more you look at the details that we have,
I forgot it's in August. It's going to be 4 years, and we still don't have answers. We still don't know. Well, we know for one thing, Epstein didn't kill himself. Okay, get that out of the way.
The more clear it is that somebody got inside the most secure federal lockup in our most populated city and murdered Jeffrey Epstein. But who? Well, the Department of Justice is in charge of finding out who, of course, and they say they have had an investigation for almost 4 years.
Just goes with our ineffective two-tiered bureaucracy. Though either way, they'll take forever. They'll either sit on evidence when they have it, or when it's against someone like, I don't know, Trump or one of his lawyers or advisors. They'll have them locked up, but they'll search for evidence. They'll lock them up in one of the worst prisons in America.
So periodically we reach out to DOJ and ask, how's the Epstein investigation going? We called today again. They told us they'd complete and publish their report soon. We also thought it'd be worth reaching out.
When soon? I'm just curious. Soon? Like when?
To the NYPD to know what was any calls from the federal.
Oh, this is brilliant. This is great. Listen to this.
In New York on the day that Epstein was found dead. NYPD has just turned over one of those calls to us, and it reveals the truth. Here it is. Oh, just kidding. We can't play that 911 call for you because it's been deleted.
Wonder why. I wonder why.
Just like the videotape. Why? Because we are, quote, well past the 12-month retention period. So it looks like the NYPD deleted the recordings of 911 calls from the jail. So we thought, well, how about the FBI? We called over to the FBI to say, do you have any 911 recordings from the jail, from the federal lockup? And we got no response. No one seems interested anymore, but we're interested.
Well, what I'll just say is Tucker ought to be. And here's another. There's a couple of these clips. Oh, wow. There's a lot. There's a couple. There's a clip from January. Let's pull this. There's a couple clips from January, actually. Oh, there's a clip from an interview. Watch that. Because what happened with the... we kind of know what happened, but who done it? Like, who did it? Just gonna watch my back now, because the cackling witch, and not Kamala, she's too stupid to even attempt anything. She obviously didn't do it. We know who did it. Let's...
August 10th, 2019, Attorney General William Barr was working in his home office when his chief of staff called to say that Jeffrey Epstein had just been found dead in his cell in New York City. Barr was shocked and upset to hear this. His first reaction, as he recounts in his memoir, was to worry that some people in America might not buy the idea that Jeffrey Epstein had killed himself. Quote, no one's going to believe it was a suicide, Barr fretted to his chief of staff. There will be conspiracy theories all
that's sus. That is sus. It's almost like he's saying that it wasn't a suicide. It's almost like he knew that he was murdered.
over the place. Now, that's a pretty odd response if you think about it. At the time, there was no way that Bill Barr could have known for sure how Jeffrey Epstein
Exactly.
died. So you would think, as the Attorney General, his first concern would be finding out what actually happened. But
Barr was one of those terrible Trump appointments. He did some stuff like busting all of these child trafficking ring, but he didn't bust the child trafficking ring. Just went after small. I mean, it's still good that he did, but didn't go after the bigger one, the big one that lead to all those smaller ones.
But instead, his first concern
Dink off the head.
was worried that the public might jump to unapproved conclusions about what happened. And in some ways, Bill Barr was right to worry. Many Americans did not believe that Jeffrey Epstein had killed himself. Given the strange circumstances of his death, stranger even than most people understood at the time, it was going to take a sustained public relations campaign to convince Americans that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. But Bill Barr was willing to make the effort. 2 days later, he flew to New Orleans, gave a speech, and said this.
I was appalled, and indeed the whole department was, and frankly, angry, to learn of the MCC's failure to adequately secure this prisoner. We are now learning of serious irregularities at this facility that are deeply concerning and demand a thorough investigation. The FBI and the Office of Inspector General are doing just that. We will get to the bottom of what happened, and there will be accountability.
No.
So the country is skeptical and concerned. Bill Barr is skeptical and concerned. We will get to the bottom of what happened, and there will
We never did.
be accountability, he promised that day. But that turned out to be untrue. 3.5 years after Jeffrey Epstein died, no one has gotten to the bottom of what happened that day, and there has been no accountability for it. The only people ever punished for the grotesque malfeasance surrounding Epstein's death were 2 low-level guards who fell asleep on duty that night.
Fell asleep that night unattended. Come on.
Both pleaded guilty to falsifying government records. But last year, with no real explanation, an Obama-appointed judge dropped all charges against both of them. One of the guards may still work for the federal government. As for getting to the bottom of what happened, despite many promises from many various officials, neither the FBI nor the Justice Department's Office of Inspector General has ever issued a report explaining how Jeffrey Epstein died. Not a word.
Not a word. Nothing. Nada. Zero. Zilch.
So once again, 3.5 years after one of the most widely covered deaths of our time, there are still no answers and there is still no accountability. Why is that? Well, many reasons, probably, but one of them is that Washington veteran Bill Barr, the only man in the modern era to serve as Attorney General twice, declared the Epstein case closed. Now, at first blush, Barr seems to have good reason for doing that. By the end of 2019, Barr writes in his memoir, I was confident that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide by hanging himself. Now, why did Bill Barr believe that? Well, the first piece of evidence he offers up is this, quote, the New York City medical examiner had conducted an autopsy and ruled that Epstein killed himself by hanging. That's the first piece of evidence. The second is this. It's a videotape that, quote, confirmed the medical examiner's findings. I personally reviewed that video footage, Barr writes. It shows conclusively that between the time Epstein was
Can we see it? Can we see it?
locked in his cell at 7:49 p.m. on the night of August 9th, and the time he was discovered the next morning at 6:30, no one entered his tier, end quote. Therefore, Bill Barr explained, we can know for sure that Jeffrey Epstein
Well, that's good, but can we see it first? Can we?
killed himself. In his book, Barr ends this section on Epstein with a self-congratulatory note. The management changes I made at the time to the federal prison system were good ones, and I think the agency is slowly on its way back. In other words, everything is fine now. Let's move on. This was enough for most journalists in Washington. Virtually every subsequent news story about Jeffrey Epstein's death denounced skeptics of the official story as crazy, who, for whatever reason, were engaged in, quote, baseless conspiracy theories. What's amazing in retrospect is that none of these reporters, veterans at the Washington Post, the Associated Press, NBC News, the New York Times, many others, none of them ever thought to revisit Bill Barr's assessment of Epstein's death and measure it against the basic tenets of common sense. If you did that, you saw that what Bill Barr said about Jeffrey Epstein was transparently absurd and very obviously dishonest. Barr began by claiming that the medical examiner who conducted Epstein's autopsy ruled his death a suicide. But that is not true. The initial cause of death following the autopsy was not suicide, but, quote, pending, which is to say unclear. The medical examiner who performed the autopsy could not say how Jeffrey Epstein died. Forensic pathologist Michael Baden, who was also present that day, came away believing Epstein had been murdered. After reviewing more than 1,000 suicides by hanging in New York State, Baden later said he couldn't find a single neck injury, not one, that matched the injury that Epstein sustained. Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself, Baden concluded. He was strangled. The physical evidence he saw at the autopsy made that obvious. But New York City's chief medical examiner, Barbara Sampson, who was not present at the autopsy, overruled the judgment of those who were. Days later, on the basis of no new evidence or investigation, Barbara Sampson simply declared Jeffrey Epstein's death a suicide. That was the city's official but totally unsupported conclusion, which Bill Barr and many others promptly repeated. Why did Chief Medical Examiner Barbara Sampson do that? We don't know. We called Sampson today to ask her, but she hung up on us. Then there's the question of the videotape, which Barr cited. Both cameras trained on the door of Jeffrey Epstein's cell did not work that night, famously. And to this day, no one has explained why they didn't work. So the video footage that Bill...
I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, any of you who are watching or watching this later, but were the other cameras in that same prison working that night? Like
Bill Barr said he watched didn't cover Epstein's cell, just the entrance to the larger cell block. No one came in or out of the tier, Barr said. Therefore, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. So let's consider that claim rationally. On the night of August 9th, Jeffrey Epstein was being held in the special housing unit of the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan, the most secure part of the city's federal lockup. It would be physically impossible for a stranger to get in and out of this facility without an electronic pass and without being seen by the countless cameras in place between the street and the locked 9th floor of the building. So if Jeffrey Epstein was murdered, he was not murdered by an intruder, someone who came into the tier. He was murdered by someone on his own cell block, obviously. There were 7 other cells on Epstein's tier, and each one housed dangerous criminals. So if you were looking for a killer, you would figure out who was in those cells. But no one seems to have thought of that or done it. The Bureau of Prisons refused to provide us with a list of the inmates on Epstein's tier. It's not clear how many of them were even interviewed by investigators, despite the fact that some of them were transferred out of the facility shortly after Epstein's death.
And do we know what happened to all those prisoners? Any prisoners or security guards want to come forward? Hey, wouldn't mind.
Baffling oversight. Instead, Attorney General Bill Barr simply assured the country that no one from outside came into Jeffrey Epstein's tier and declared the case solved. And if you think about it, that is a remarkable way to assess a potential crime scene, especially when you consider the source. Bill Barr was not a civilian or a crime novel aficionado. He was the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. He was the nation's top cop. His job was to solve crimes. And yet somehow, with all his law enforcement experience, it never seemed to dawn on Bill Barr that if there was a killer, the killer would have come from one of the cells on Epstein's tier. And then further, apparently, no one in the entire FBI suggested this to Bill Barr as they reviewed the case. Excuse me, Mr. Attorney General, it doesn't matter what the camera outside the tier shows. What matters is what happened inside the tier. Again, obvious. And yet, apparently, no one at DOJ ever said that to Bill Barr, and no one in the media noticed.
And there's this other clip.
On On the basis of those conversations with Mark Epstein, as well as with a criminal defense attorney called David Schoen, who also knew Jeffrey Epstein well and met with him in his cell shortly before he died, here is a list of questions that any honest investigator would want the answers to. First, why do so many public officials persist in claiming that Jeffrey Epstein attempted suicide in prison once before, on July 23, 2019? Now, that's a very convenient claim if you're trying to convince people that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. But there's no evidence that it's true. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein himself adamantly denied ever trying to kill himself in prison or out. He denied this to his friends, to his lawyers, and to prison psychologists. He said instead that he was injured by another inmate. That's why he was in fetal position on the ground. According to David Schoen, who talked to him shortly after that event, Epstein seemed upbeat, happy, and confident of his release from jail. But he was very concerned about being hurt by someone in a nearby cell. And speaking of nearby cells, were the cells on Epstein's tier locked for the entire night, the night he was killed? We've heard from a source that they were not locked, that inmates were able to move from one cell to another, including into Jeffrey Epstein's cell. Can the Bureau of Prisons give us clarity on this? Can they prove otherwise? And by the way, who moved Jeffrey Epstein's body and who gave the order to do that? Epstein was discovered the morning of August 10th by a part-time prison guard called Michael Thomas, who amazingly was the very same guard who discovered him in fetal position on the floor after his previous falsely reported suicide attempt. But by the time the EMTs arrived, Epstein's body had been moved to the prison infirmary. That's a clear violation of federal policy. Who ordered that? And though Jeffrey Epstein had been dead for at least 2 hours when the guard found him in his cell, by the time the EMTs arrived, Epstein was clad in a hospital gown. That means that somebody, for some reason, cut away Jeffrey Epstein's prison uniform and redressed his stiffening corpse in new clothes. Why would anyone? And then to make it even stranger, Jeffrey Epstein's corpse was intubated. Air was blown into his lifeless lungs. It's not clear why. Now, there was handheld video of all of this happening. That might explain it, but that video has never been released. In fact, authorities will not even acknowledge that it exists, but it does exist. Nor has the EMT's account of what they saw that day, their mandatory so-called pre-hospital care report, ever been released. Nor, most strikingly,
Wonder why. Oh boy, gee, I wonder why it hasn't been released.
of all, are there photographs of Jeffrey Epstein dead in his cell. And that means it's impossible to know the position of his
And
body.
that led to actually, for a while, some people, and I think some people still believe that Jeffrey Epstein is still alive. So you're not helping. You're actually creating more. So
Body when it was found or how he died. Was Jeffrey Epstein hanging from a bed sheet, as the authorities insist? They say he was strangled by a ligature of his own making. His neck was bloody, but the strip of sheet was not. Or was he killed with the electrical cord from his CPAP machine for sleep apnea? That's what Dr. Bodden concluded, because that would be consistent with his actual injuries at autopsy. These are very basic questions. These are not conspiracy theories. They're obvious questions. They are the essential questions, in fact, in any legitimate investigation. But apparently nobody has even tried to answer them. We dutifully called the Department of Justice today to ask them to explain some of this. They refused on the grounds that there's, quote, an active investigation in progress. But that is a lie. There is no investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's death. For moving on 4 years now, there has never been an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's death, the death of an American citizen. Now, we can only speculate as to why that is, but all the explanations are bad and ominous. Maybe someone in the new Republican Congress should look into all of this.
they could, but they might end up with a couple bullets chopped up into a body bag. Again, it'll probably be ruled a suicide.
Not because Jeffrey Epstein was an American hero, but because for once it would be nice to see the federal government forced to tell the truth about something.
And next is this clip from a.
No, he didn't. I don't believe he did. I believe that he was murdered. Well, I was shocked. And I wondered how it had happened. Because as far as I was concerned, I was sure he was going to appeal. And I was sure that he was covered under the non-prosecution agreement.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in the indictment. So I wasn't mentioned. I wasn't even one of the co-conspirators. No, he didn't. I don't.
Let's see if there's. I. I mean, I think we all know. Apparently, Bud Light put this out. That's not gonna. This ain't helping them. That ain't helping your Bud Light. Let's. This was Bud Light's.
I am not gay. I have relationships with women, sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
That's gonna be fun. And the more. Also, there's this one. There's this. Let's share this. shall we? Disclose TV news. Illegal aliens who are LGBTQ may not be detained anymore under Democrats' new bill as they qualify as vulnerable persons. Can you believe this? Can you? Wait, we need to get this. Oh my god. This is stupid. Ah. Drake Bell's way files for, I guess, from Drake and Josh. Or that show. Remember that? Yeah, Razor Fist is going to be on FNT actually. Let's see. Has this Gary got the stream? Because I'm not sure if I'm going to how long I'm going to go for, because obviously I'm going to tune into that Razor Fist. What the heck are you doing? Apparently, yeah, the Mandalorian season 3 final. Apparently, the Mandalorian sucked. Yeah, that's why I don't even bother. I'm kind of checked out with Star Wars. Not even kind of. I am checked out with Star Wars. Disney Star Wars. Oh, this is interesting. So apparently they're bringing the 10 Commandments back into schools in Texas. Let's see. Because I know from school, actually, from my law class, that there's a case that prohibited them. I think this is kind of, not even kind of, I think this is pretty good, actually. Bring God back into our children's law. We need to bring God back into the cities. Okay? We need God back into the cities. And I think that would be, it's a detriment not to. Who have God? Because it provides something, it provides good morals, especially Christianity. And you got 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston, classic. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I want to show that. I don't think I'm going to show that. It's essentially child abuse material. That's just child abuse material. Wall Street Silver is place of this. Yeah. This is the path the Roman Empire went down. Reduce the metal content of the coins and make money worthless. This is a late stage types. This is the late stage empire type of stuff. None of you will own gold and silver. Get it when you can. You will own nothing and you will be happy, yeah. Let me just check something. Yeah, I'm supposed to go home for the week. And then my dad's supposed to come pick me up. So I around 3:30, I've gotten most of my stuff packed up. See what other this is from J.K. Rowling. Let me bring this up. All right. Dreadful news, which I feel duty and bound to share. Activists in my mentions are trying to organize yet another boycott of my work, this time of the Harry Potter TV show. As I forewarned, it is for career forearm. I've taken the precaution of laying a large stock of champagne. Oh wow. That's I don't like, but yeah. There's that. Wall Street Journal, let's react to this clip. let us react to another clip because we know the election's coming up in 2020. Why did I forget?
Stick to your word.
I know,
All right,
Joe
15
Biden.
minutes now before the hour. We got some new insight in 2024. A fresh Wall Street Journal poll of likely Republican voters shows former President Trump doubling up Ron DeSantis 48-24. With me now, two Republicans from
And you know what?
DeSantis' state of Florida.
I've got to show you the clip of Trump on the Full Send podcast.
Corey Mills and Greg Stubbe. Gentlemen, good morning to both of you.
Rush.
We're hoping to have Byron Donalds on in a moment here if that satellite gets linked up. But thank you for being here. Congressman Stubbe, I want to start with you because you had some comments this past week that really it got some attention. You're saying that in 5 years, Governor DeSantis did not reach out to you one time. Is that true?
Yes, sir. And it's a little bit even worse than that, in my opinion. There's been multiple opportunities where I have gone up to him and talked to him, given him my cell phone number, asked him to reach out to me. There's been events in my district that I was specifically told I couldn't be part of the press conference, told to go stand in the corner, was not allowed to be participating in that when he was in my district. So it's you can't win friends and influence people that way, especially in the political realm. And there's been many things that I've reached out to him. I walked up to him, gave him my cell phone number, said, hey, I need to talk to you about Lake Okeechobee when I first got elected. And not even a person from his staff called me back.
But you know, he had such quick action after Hurricane Ian. I mean, a lot of folks in your district, were suffering then. And he moved quickly. I'm just surprised that actions like that would not convince you otherwise.
Look, I stand for American First agenda, and there is no other candidate for the Republican nominee that could go in day one and do what we need to have done in our country and reverse all the disastrous policies of this Biden administration. And that is President Trump. That is why I am backing him, and I'm looking forward to fighting on Team Trump.
Okay, Byron Donalds joins us as well. Sir, welcome to the conversation here. I want to bring you in because your district was hit the hardest by Hurricane Ian. I just mentioned the support that DeSantis did there. He rebuilt bridges within a week. I mean, it was remarkable stuff. In addition to that,
It is, but
supports your wife and what she was doing in Southwest Florida. And you were on stage introducing him when he won his reelection as governor. So what changed?
Well, nothing changed. I haven't stopped my support of Ron DeSantis, but we're just talking about the presidency. And I think you just heard Congressman Stubbe, he probably said it better than anybody could. Look, our country's in a real problem, and you got to be able to hit the ground running on day one. We know Donald Trump can do it. He did it once before. He can do it again. And if you look at our country from a foreign policy perspective, we know all the domestic issues. You guys cover it all the time. But China is on the move. They see weakness at the White House. The next commander-in-chief has got to be able to do the job of commander-in-chief on day one. We know Donald Trump can do that job. Look, I take nothing away from Governor DeSantis. He's done a great job as our governor, but the country is in a place right now where day one is going to matter for the United States. And I know Donald Trump can answer that call.
I want to bring in Corey Mills now. Sir, good morning to you as well. There are legal issues in front of the president. There might be more, specifically here in New York. We saw one play out 2 weeks ago. There might.
I know Donald.
So he has all these. I've heard that's like nearly 200 and something.
Trump can answer that call.
I want to bring in Corey Mills now. Sir, good morning to you as well. There are legal issues in front of the president. There might be more, specifically here.
He's had all these: Matt Gaetz, Aunt Paulina Luna, Mills, Donalds.
For New York.
DeSantis has only Laura Lee.
We saw one play out 2 weeks ago. You call that a unifying event. Explain.
That's correct. Well, I mean, look, the bottom line is, and I want to go ahead and kind of echo the sentiments of both of my colleagues, whether it's a domestic or a foreign policy issue, both are right that President Trump is ready day one to hold our adversaries accountable and put America first. When it comes to the unifying approach, I mean, we saw something which was absolutely unprecedented, where you had a attorney general who was appointed and supported by George Soros, who even ran on the principles that I will come after Donald Trump. And he has basically upgraded his accusations from allegations from a misdemeanor to a felony. I mean, the attempt of putting a gag order at this point would have actually been a larger impediment as far as like what the legal ramifications were than the charge that they're trying to levy against him itself. And here's the bottom line. The American people have seen for far too long, whether it was the Obama administration and the weaponization of the IRS in 2004, whether it's what's going on right now, whether it was the DOJ and Operation Crossfire Hurricane, the bottom line is that Americans are tired of watching a two-tier justice system where our actual government is being weaponized against Americans. And the reason they're going after President Trump is because he is the one who can actually defeat Joe Biden in the White House, take back our country, get it back on track, and start actually leading the country where it needs to go. They know that, and that's why they're coming after him. But America stands behind President Trump.
Yeah, to all three of you, and Congressman Steube, maybe you can start here. In the past primary season, the president supported a few candidates who turned out to be pretty weak, and they did not win. You also know in 2020, suburban voters did not support his candidacy. How do you back that now? How could that even possibly change in 2024 with a rematch?
Well, in my district, Trump is overwhelmingly supported, just like that poll that you just showed from the Wall Street Journal. Well, Trump's beating DeSantis by 24 points. It's very similar here in my district in Southwest Florida. So Trump has the support. He's going to continue to have the support. He's going to continue to build the teams he's going to need to build to be successful.
Okay, Congressman Donalds, you look at suburbs of Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Wisconsin come to mind. How would you address that?
Oh, it's very simple. Every presidential election is a different election. You can't look at 24 in the prism of 2020. Why? COVID-19 had the entire country shut down. Voters were looking at a bunch of different things. But looking at 24, what I believe is you're going to have President Trump and President Biden in front of these voters. And the simple question is this: who did the job better? And it is without question that Donald Trump did the significantly better job than what Joe Biden is doing currently. That's going to be your question in 24. And I think that suburban moms looking at inflation, looking at the indoctrination that's happening in our schools, they're going to say, you know what? These Democrats have led us the complete wrong way. The polling indicates that. We need somebody who's effective and can get the country on track.
Last question, Corey Mills. Do you give Governor DeSantis credit for what he has done in the state of Florida? Because it's no longer purple.
Absolutely. Look, I think it's just like Byron was saying earlier. We've got a great governor. He's done a tremendous job. I am not in any way trying to diminish the impact that he's had here in the state of Florida. But what we need is a person who can actually lead on day one. And here's the greatest part about it that people forget. President Trump does not have a re-election looming over his head when it comes to the tough decisions that are going to need to be made when it comes to China, when it comes to Russia, when it comes to our domestic production, when it comes to our economy. I mean, look, you just saw in your earlier report where home sales has a decline that we haven't seen in over 11 years. The economy is being weakened politically. We're being weakened on the world stage. From a military perspective, we're being depleted with DEI and CRT and things that are actually getting to a reduction in our ability to recruit. Governor DeSantis has done a great job as governor, but President Trump has shown to be a great president.
Well, more to come on this. I understand all three of you at Mar-a-Lago last night having dinner. Thank you for your time this morning. Byron Donalds, Corey Mills, Greg Steube, three Republican Congress members from Florida. Thank you.
Fascinating. All right, talk about a self-inflicted wound.
Yeah. I'm just gonna quickly check. My dad's location. You actually have quite a while. Let's see else? Oh, this. This. Let's get this up. Ooh.
Підготовка максимальна і медицина.
You received one of the servicemen's name.
І тактика, і вогнева підготовка на вищому рівні. Тому що ми розуміємо, сильними треба вміти стріляти, треба знати досконало тактичну медицину. Для того, щоб уникнути цих втрат, які, на жаль, були до цього, так, наших хлопців, наших героїв. От, намагаємось, працюємо, стріляємо, перемагаємо ворога.
This was actually from yesterday, the 20th, apparently. So, and then there's this one. Maybe some Star Wars. Seem like the only cultural stuff that we get is that seem to appear on my feed is either Mario, Balto, or Star Wars. So here it is. So here's the tape. PT show started with adult Anakin eager to leave Tatooine to fight in the raiding Clone Wars and being discovered and trained by Kenobi. The trilogy will have plenty of time to explore his fall, betrayal, and hunt for Jedi and be consistent with the original Star Wars. And OG Star Wars says so pre of Luke's arc. Because essentially that's what it is going to be. That wouldn't work well because the Jedi wouldn't train and her Texas horror. Also, he falls to the dark side in early adulthood, so there would be no time to train him, let alone show how he fell, etc. I don't know what this is. Formula. It just for the OT was Luke's story. Anakin's story is Greek tragedy. I guess that's Greek heroes. She must have made this when she was tired. You know how whenever you wake up, and honestly, the prequels were good flaws, despite the flaws. I mean, that's what I grew up with. Sorry, phone's going off. Um. Hmm. Apparently, Arsenal aren't doing well against Southampton. Oh, they're down 2-0. So some soccer news. They're in at home. They're down. Wait. Home. So Southampton. Wait, let me check the Premier League standings. So let's see matches next. So City, they're if they win their next two matches, which I'm not even sure they. Oh, the next match they would play is against Arsenal. Oh, some Premier League stuff. Got a little bit of that Premier League action. Theo Walcott apparently scored. Wow. Too bad Tottenham are bad because oh man. Yeah, can I get a wow? Oh my god. That is crazy. Oh no, I lost that. I kind of wanted to show it. Apparently, Jack Dorsey, this is according to Drama Alert, is starting his Twitter alternative, Blue Sky. The app is currently still in development and is only available through an invite code on Android. See, yeah, usually later on in the stream, after I'm done covering, I'll just go over stuff that might be in the news. Yeah, I'm not going to show the video because that's universal, and you saw what happened with Saber Sparks Balto vid. Oh, I ain't letting that happen. This is genuinely a. Arsenal have one back. From Martinelli. So Trump's camp. Let me just. Yeah. Yeah, my dad, he's stuck in traffic, so let's actually get this, cover a few more things, and I've got a couple other things I might want to do. So the real Ron DeSantis playbook. This is a statement by Trump today, actually. So the real Ron DeSantis record is one of misery and despair. He has left a wake of destruction across Florida, and people are hurting because he has spent more time playing public relations game instead of actually doing the hard work that needs to be done to improve the lives of people he represents. Stephen Chung, spokesperson. Mar-a-Lago, Florida. Well, Ron DeSantis engages. Let me get this. Well, Ron DeSantis engages in a weeks-long shadow campaign for president, boasting his playbook. Florida continues to tumble into complete and total delinquency and destruction. On DeSantis' watch, Florida has become one of the least affordable states to live in the country. In his first term as governor, Ron DeSantis raised taxes on Floridians by more than $1.5 billion. Really? The National Low Income Housing Coalition estimates that a Floridian making $10 an hour must work 86 hours per week just to afford rent on a modest single-bedroom home in Florida. The cost of living in South Florida has shot up 10% in just the last year alone, the highest increase by far in years, while the national average was only 6.5%. Home prices skyrocketed in Miami by 32% the last year and by 34% in Tampa. According to a 2023 smart asset study, the Orlando metropolitan area was the 10th most expensive to live comfortably in the nation. And Miami closely followed as the 12th most expensive metropolitan area. Yeah, and Tampa also made the list as the 16th most expensive. Let's get the other one. Florida is now the most expensive state in the country for healthcare and has the highest annual car insurance premiums in the nation. Did not know that. While nearly half of the gas stations in Miami and Fort Lauderdale are without fuel, those Floridians are lucky enough to find a gas station with fuel to be paying a stiff premium. Florida ranks in the 10 most expensive states in the continental United States for fuel prices. And in 2023, Florida imposed a new hike on fuel purchases, On education, Florida ranked 39 in health and safety and 50 in affordability and 30 in education and childcare. Under Ron DeSantis, Florida has become among the worst states to live. In April 2023, money cited Florida's failing education system and above average poverty rates in its list of 20 worst states to live in America. Define economic opportunity. Florida ranked 36 in economic opportunity according to U.S. News to Work. And Oxfam report has Florida at 29 in their best and worst states to work rankings. To retire, Florida ranked 26 in elder abuse protections and was the worst state in the country for resources to retire to elder abuse related to elder reduction to raise a family. Wallet Hub marked Florida as one of the worst states in the nation to raise a family, ranking 32nd. Within that survey, Florida ranked 50th in affordability. I think this is 30th in education and childcare and 39th in health and safety. In 2022, Florida ranked 39th among the worst states to raise in the nation to raise a family. Pay taxes. Florida is the worst state for fair taxes in the nation, according to a 2020 study. In Wallet Hub October 2022 rankings of the safest states to live, Florida came in at the bottom, ranking 44th out of 50th. According to the study, Florida ranked 44th in workplace safety, 46th in roadway safety, and 25th in financial safety, and 34th in personal safety. And there's to run home. I think that why don't I just finish it? To run home. You can. It's on Twitter. You can do it. I think we're going to start wrapping it up. If DeSantis gets in, he's just going to be Bush. But, he won't be Biden. This is... Stoltenberg, Ukraine will join NATO immediately after the onset of the counteroffensive. You're assuming that they're going to win, which is far from the truth. I don't know if Stoltenberg or Ben is the dumbest white man to walk here. Oh, man. Stop sharing. Oh, what's this? Infant shot in the chest by mother boyfriend in 2020 passes away Thursday. Oh, that sucks. Oh. But let's see. Because Let's see what he's posted on. Just reading these comments. Yeah. A lot of these corporation. So next Saturday is so now Universal cares and Saber. Yeah, it's some of these. And you think all right, I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. Yeah, we're getting Cliff. Yeah. I think I'm going to end it here, actually. So, you all know the drill. You all know the drill. Just checking. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I will see you on Monday. God bless you. God bless America. And we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.